Shalom, Yahweh Hashem Yahshai Hashem Rakakodash, Brakatum, Kalalalam La, Yahweh Hashem Yahshai Hashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and will lead as examples to the flock. Peace and salutations to the Akim sincerely working for that penny a day, and to the rest of the believers, the men, women, and children whom the Lord has foreordained to receive this mercy, receive this truth. Shalom. Now, I wanted to continue along the same path, of speaking about the mark of the beast and how it is being implemented. And it reminded me, of something that we used to go into a lot, especially in my earlier days in the truth, and that's called the Hegelian Dialectic. The Hegelian Dialectic, in layman's term, problem, reaction, solution, or pressure from above, pressure from below. We've talked about it many times, and revealed how this current system uses it, to push, certain agenda that would not normally be pushed, under, ordinary circumstances. So before I get into it, we're going to start here in Psalm 64 in the NLT. It says, "For the choir director, a psalm of David, O God, listen to my complaint, protect my life from my enemies' threats. Hide me from the plots of this evil mob, from this gang of wrongdoers. They sharpen their tongue like swords and aim their bitter words like arrows. They shoot from ambush at the innocent, attacking suddenly and fearlessly. They encourage each other to do evil and plan how to set their traps in secret. Who will ever notice, they ask. As they plot their crimes, they say, we have devised the perfect plan. Yes, the human heart and mind are cunning, but God himself, Yahweh himself, would shoot them with his arrows, suddenly striking them down. Their own tongue will ruin them, and all which see them shall shake their head in scorn. Then everyone will be afraid. They will proclaim the mighty acts of Yahweh and realize all the amazing things he does." So we're going to continue along the vein of revealing the secret plots, of the wicked elite of this world in bringing about Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 on down, which is the mark of the beast, which is the implantable RFID microchip surrounded by the digital framework, such as a digital ID and a digital currency in the form of a central bank digital identity, right? So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, continuing along the same chat, that I did a video on just now, I asked the question, I gave the prompt, discuss how the Hegelian dialectic of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis is used to incrementally implement the charagma system. Now, before I go any further, I wanted to bring out what the Hegelian dialectic is. So it was popularized by a German philosopher, right? I believe his name was G.H. Hegel or G.W. Hegel, I forget, right? It says it's a concept explaining the movement of thought and history through internal contradictions and their resolution, often summarized as thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. This process involves an initial idea or state, which is the thesis, encountering its opposite, antithesis, which generates new understanding that incorporates elements of both. The synthesis then becomes a new thesis, creating a continuous, progressive cycle of development in logic, nature, and spirit. Right? So let's get to some reading here. Right? So bear with me and give me your attention for a little while. So the chat explains how Hegelian dialectic will be used to bring about the charagma system, mark of the beast system. Right? And it lays it out perfectly. And we can see real world things happening. The Hegelian dialectic provides a sophisticated framework for understanding how seemingly opposing forces can be orchestrated to achieve a predetermined outcome. And we always speak about controlled opposition in our videos, right? In the context of implementing a comprehensive identification and control system, it works like this. The basic mechanism. Thesis, present state or existing problem. Antithesis, create or amplify a crisis or reaction, right? Which is why you always hear them saying that we must not let this crisis go to waste, or this crisis it represents an opportunity for us, right? And then the synthesis offers a solution, quote unquote, that advances toward the ultimate goal. Practical application to digital ID or control system. Cycle 1, financial security. Cash-based economic with some fraud. Antithesis, highlight terrorism financing, money laundering, tax evasion. Synthesis or solution, digital banking with transaction monitoring. Right? So what I want you to think about in thesis, antithesis, and synthesis is problem, reaction, solution. Right? Thesis being the problem, antithesis being the reaction, right? And synthesis being the solution. Right? Cycle 2, identity verification. Thesis, physical documents, passports, license, such and such. Antithesis, identity theft epidemic. The document fraud, illegal immigration. Synthesis, biometric databases with digital ID systems currently being implemented. A recent example we have is the UK. What did they cite as an issue that is being solved by digital ID? Illegal immigration, right? Cycle 3, financial access. Thesis, inefficient benefit distribution or financial inclusion, right? Such as distributed government benefits, right? Antithesis, people unable to access services, fraud in welfare systems. Synthesis or the solution, mandatory linking of digital ID to bank accounts. UN proposal, Vietnam is implementing this. Cycle 4, public health or safety. Thesis, disease outbreaks, public safety concerns. Antithesis or the reaction, inability to track or verify health status or compliance. Synthesis, health passports, vaccine certificates integrated into digital ID. Did we not see this? Right. Cycle 5, convenience versus security. Thesis, smartphone-based systems are inconvenient. Antithesis, devices get stolen, lost, damaged, creating access crises. Synthesis, implantable solutions as permanent, secure alternative. Right? So here are the key characteristics of this strategy. Manufactured consent. Each crisis may be real, exaggerated, or created, but the solution is always predetermined. The public believes they are choosing the lesser evil when they are actually being guided towards a specific endpoint. Problem, reaction, solution. And that's what we've been saying. This is the dialectic in action. Create or allow a problem to develop. Generate public reaction and demand for action. Implement the pre-planned solution that expands control. Right? Each synthesis becomes a new thesis for the next cycle. What was unthinkable yesterday becomes debatable today and mandatory tomorrow. The UK mandatory digital ID would have been politically impossible 20 years ago. That was when David, what was his name again? Is it David Cameron? I believe that was his name, the then Prime Minister, David Cameron. Right? It would have been impossible. But after cycles of anti-terrorism measures, biometric passports, and digital banking normalization, it becomes acceptable. False dichotomies, right, or the left-right paradigm, right? This dialectic presents binary choices, security or freedom, convenience or safety, inclusion or exclusion. These false choices obscure the third alternative, like maintaining privacy and security through different means. And we see that even in the political spheres, right? There's always a dichotomy in the political landscape. Here in Jamaica, we have two major parties, the PNP and the JLP. A third option is never considered. It's a false dichotomy, right? Current examples in action. The privacy versus security dialectic. Thesis, citizens have rights, privacy rights. Antithesis, terrorism, child exploitation, organized crime threatens everyone. Synthesis, mass surveillance systems with nothing to hide justification. Like Larry Ellison saying, he wants a system where AI is constantly monitoring everyone, because what? When everyone is on their best behavior, when everyone is being monitored, Salakia, they are on their best behavior. The cash versus digital dialectic. Thesis, cash provides anonymity, right? And freedom, meaning you're unknown in your transaction, you're untraceable. Antithesis, cash enables crimes, spread diseases, inefficient for government. Synthesis, a central bank digital currency with programmable restrictions, right? And so on and so forth. There's so many examples. So we're just going to jump down to the Revelation 13 example, our context. The beast system doesn't emerge through obvious tyranny that everyone would resist. It comes with a series, read it again, bike. It comes with a series of reasonable steps, each solving a real quote unquote problem. Each dialectic cycle moves closer to total economic and social control, with each synthesis becoming irreversible infrastructure for the next phase. They were never planning to remove any of the laws that they implemented during the pandemic. It was a foundation, a building block for the next step, right? By the time mandatory marking arrives, the alternative systems, cash, anonymous transactions, parallel economies, have been systematically eliminated through previous solutions. The genius of the dialectic is that people believe they're choosing freedom when they're actually accepting bondage. They think they're solving problems when they're building their own cage, right? This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Don't be fooled by what they say. This is in NLT. Don't be fooled by what they say, for that day will not come unless there is a great rebellion against God and the man of lawlessness is revealed. Esau is being revealed right now through the Spirit, right? This is his own AI technology that I was just using to reveal what's going on. That's his own mouth falling upon him, right? The one who brings destruction. He will exalt himself and deify everything that people call God, and defy everything that people call God, and every object of worship. He will even sit in the temple of God, claiming that he himself is God. And that's what this system will bring about, right? That's what this system will bring about. All right, let me even show that. All right, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4 describes this system of total control and surveillance. Yes? Right, let's see what it says. Not quite. Describes something more fundamental. Let me look at what Paul wrote. He opposed it primarily about surveillance. It's about ultimate blasphemy and usurping God. Right, financial control, the relationship to controls. However, you're touching on an important connection. The total control and surveillance infrastructure serves as the enforcement mechanism for this blasphemous claim. Revelation 13 verse 15 describes how the image of the beast is given breath to speak and cause those who won't worship to be killed. And then the mark shows the mark system prevents economic participation without submission. Right? So the deeper reality, the surveillance and control aren't ends in itself. They're mean to enforce religious submission. 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 4 reveals the spiritual core, the Antichrist's goal to oppose all other worship, right? The technological connection. So what I wanted to really connect was that what he's saying with this AI, right, is that it will know everything, be able to surveil everything. If you listen to the CEO of Oracle speak, which is Larry Ellison, he always speaks about how the idea is to create a system where surveillance is ubiquitous, is everywhere, and everything is fed into this central artificial intelligence that is able to monitor and analyze and make predictions and decisions based on all the infinite data that it will be fed in real time by people, places, things, and systems, right? That's him playing God, right? Jumping down to verse 5. Don't you remember what I told you about all this when I was with you? And you know what is holding him back, for he can be revealed only when his time comes, and that the time is now. He's being revealed now. For this lawlessness is already at work secretly, and it will remain secret until the one who is holding it back steps out of the way. Then the man of lawlessness will be revealed, but the Lord Yahushua will kill him with the breath of his mouth. And that's what happening with the prophets going out in the highways and the byways prophesying. And then ultimately, he will be physically destroyed when the Lord Yahushua makes his return, right? And destroy him with the scepter of his splendor of his coming. This man will come to do the work of Satan with counterfeit power and signs and miracles. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction because they refuse to love and accept him that would save them. So God will cause them to be greatly deceived and they will believe these lies. Then they will be condemned for enjoying evil rather than believing the truth. Right? So again, more revealing, more edification. Hopefully this lesson was actually edifying and you stuck with me. It was a lot of reading, but shalom.